Test, test, test. Test, test, test. And welcome to beautiful downtown Niskayuna, New York, where we have the annual RPI Curling College Bonspiel brought to you from high above Balltown Avenue. No, Balltown Road. We are just underway here. Our feature game on sheet 3 tonight is Colgate 2 throwing the Redstones, skipped by Allison Sebago, and RPI 2 throwing the Yellowstones, skipped by Anthony Nazis. And we have just started throwing the first lead rock for RPI, which has the hammer. Lead is Dana Stevens. And it slides to the back of the house and ends up on the back 8 line, barely biting. That's me. Yeah. On lead for Colgate 2, Grom McGannon. Dana Stevens throwing her. I'm sorry, McGannon throwing her second rock. Let's see what the call was. But it is sliding down, ending up just to the left of the center line in the 6-foot zone, right in white. We are broadcasting to you in living color. Our house colors here at the Schenectady Curling Club are blue, white, and red with our logo in the button. And down to seconds. The second for RPI 2. I have listed here as Kirk Fittner, but I don't think that's Kirk. Now throwing for Colgate 2, Drew Backler. We'll update you on the scores on the other sheets as developments allow. Sebago calling for a wide draw. RPI, yellow, currently sitting shot rock. just on 6 foot. And that rock coming up a little bit short. RPI 2 tonight, featuring the Norwegian curling plants, not the really jazzy ones, but the ones with the Norwegian flag on one leg. This is Kirk Bickner throwing. That comes and sits right on top of the existing RPI rock. Second shot for Colgate 2's second, Drew Backler. Another draw call. Two teams sticking early on to different sides of the ice. RPI working the left, as you see it, and Colgate working the right with their red rocks. Shot came out a little narrow. Coming in, we're going to get a collision, possibly a promote. And just kisses off of the rock behind it. We'll end up shot rock, but a little bit exposed on the right-hand side. And we do have a microphone out on the ice. Hopefully you can hear some of the skips' calls. I'll try to be quiet when the skips are making their calls. Calls for a takeout here. Out narrow, it's going to have a collision on the left and actually effectively does a split to promote the Colgate rock, so Colgate's now sitting 1 and 2. Colgate calling for a center line guard. Guard comes to rest right on the center line on the 8 foot. Effective guard from the middle. Skip Nazlis of RPI 2 calling for the takeout in the center. Now throwing is vice skip Jenny Amador, a veteran of the RPI Curling Club. Catch a piece on the side, end up sitting third, clearing out the middle a little bit, leaving Colgate 1 and 2, but very exposed in the 6 foot circle. Allison Sebago again calling for a guard right at the center line. Lots of ice, plenty of ice here. Vice Austin Chago for Colgate 2 throwing. And did not curl too much. Looks like ice is running about 1.5 foot narrower than what Skip was calling for there. Did, however, come in on top of the rocks, and looks like Colgate is sitting at least 1 and 2 right now. Second rock for Vice, Jenny Amador. As is calling for takeout in the middle. weight. It's holding outside and not curling. And it just skips by the front rock, gets a piece of the rock it's aimed at, takes it out, but leaves Colgate sitting on 2 still. RPI has the hammer here with the yellow rocks. House and Sebago and Osachago talking it over in the house. And I'd like to welcome the 2 viewers who have just joined us. We do not have our interactive chat up and running just at present, but perhaps we'll get that going later. So you can ask questions, provide your own commentary, especially commentary on the commentary, which is something we love here at Schenectady Curling Club. Or if you're curious about the score on another sheet of ice, we can give you an update. And Skip Allison Sebago's first rock is away. Again, sliding out a little wide. He's going to collide with her arm. Rock just a bit too much, sliding to the back 8. And Colgate is still shot rock behind the tee, left-hand side of the ice. They have opened it up for RPI to come back, got the steal, possibly even get 2 or 3, depending what they do with that back rock. If you're watching this and you're confused by the turns that RPI teams are calling, it's because they call Schenectady Albany turns that are, the arm signals are the opposite of what most other clubs use. And that one comes in and just promotes the Colgate rock up to be shot 1 and 2, but does open up the front of the ice. So unless Colgate guards up, there's going to have an open draw for 1. Colgate discussing where to put their guard. Here's Allison Sebago. Excellent form on her slide. Followed the rock about a third of the way down. Sweepers are on it now. Rock stop. Going a little bit. It's going to end up centerline guard, but maybe a little bit deeper than she wanted. Rock is sitting shot rock, so right now Colgate is sitting free, but leaving option of the takeout. Discussing possibly doing a hit and roll behind. Takeout wouldn't necessarily leave RPI sitting shot, particularly if they slid. And here's the hammer, about to be thrown by Skip Anthony Nazis of RPI 2. Back on the rock a little bit, sliding out the line, becoming quite narrow, and hanging there. It's like, can't quite tell whether the rock lost its handle, but it did take out one, but it left Colgate sitting 2. Looks like 2 red for the first end. So we'll wait for the Bisons to make it official, but Colgate starts out with 2 in the first end. As the teams reset. Going around the other sheets, on sheet 1, the A game, SUNY Poly 1, skipped by Blake Hagberg, who is going up against Villanova. John Prosperi skipping. On sheet 2, the B game, RPI 1, with Chris Seeley skipping versus RTI 3. Nick Hagerbeck skipping. Sheet 3 here, we've got SUNY Poly 2 with Jeremy Jens up against RIT 2, skipped by Brennan Kelly. And the only other score we have posted so far is on sheet 2, RPI 1 versus RTI 3. It looks like RPI has scored 3 in the first end. All right, getting ready to start the second end here on our feature sheet, sheet 3. The so-called C game by tournament designation. A lot of weight out of the house from Colgate 2's lead, Graham again. And very wide outside of the sheet. Looks like it's going to go through the back line, or it's a race to see whether it's going to go back line or out of bounds first. It goes out of bounds. Wide to the left is. We are looking down the ice, and to the right as you were looking at the view on your screen. And the first rock by RPI 2's lead, Dana Stevens. Down, stuck on the center line, drifting over. And it is in the house, just to the right of the center line. Skip Allison Spago of Colgate. Calling for the takeout. Rock's going to go wide and probably through the house to the back. Being RPI's decision. Skip Anthony is calling for a draw behind the RPI rock, yellow rock out in front. This shot comes out very wide from what was called. Looks like it's a little light. The sweepers are right on it. As this pulled them off, put them back on the rock. Decided to try to get it across, and does not quite come in to bite. RPI with the yellow rocks, Colgate with the red rocks, RPI again with the hammer. This end, they couldn't score last end, had 2 stolen. And now throwing the first rock by Colgate 2's second, Drew Beckler. Looks like it's going to miss. Called takeout shot, slide through the back of the ice. So RPI again with a chance to set to guard. As it's deciding to come right into the house. Going for a shot, which might not be physically possible. Let's see how the race curls here. Kirk Bittner throwing for RPI. A lot of weight on that shot. Looks like we're going to get a collision with the lead rock in front. They might get a very nice tap promote and end up guarding themselves. And it hits just a little bit to the right of the nose of the rock, sending the rock that had been on the 8 foot behind the tee, sitting behind the 4 foot line, quite exposed. Leaving the thrown rock, biting just over the 8 foot line. Sebago curling, skipping with a lot of confidence here. Calling your shots very quickly. Shot is coming out a little narrow. Skip has called them off, any kind of sweeping to try to correct the line. Wait and see if it comes through. It looks like their plan B here might be to just simply take out the RPI rock. It did, and it slid under cover. So shot went down very nicely. As is, I think, calling for a takeout here. I'm going to call it to come right down to that rock. Got a lot of weight coming out here. Kirk Bittner following that rock down as Jenny Amador and Dana Stevens sweep it. Lost a little momentum as it started to curl across and has come in. They just get it by their lead rock, and I believe our shot now. So RPI with the yellow rocks, same lead. It's about half the rock is showing. Alison Spago from Colgate calling for the takeout. First rock thrown by Vice Austin Shago. He's asking for a little bit more ice. See what kind of weight he puts on this. Comes out narrow, and the rock is falling across the face. And looks like it's going to be considerably wide and come over to the right side of the ice. And kisses and promotes the RPI rock over the 6 foot line, ends up wide on the 8 foot line, just outside on the right hand side. RPI sitting 1. Gaz calling for a low guard here. Nice shot, leaving RPI sitting 1 and 2, partly guarded on top, but open shot for lots of combination shots, singles and doubles. Alison Sebago, though, calling for her Vice to come in and sit right on top of Shot Rock. She's sitting just back the tee line to the right-hand side in the 4 foot circle. Tough shot. It's got to curl just so. our draw, and it looks like it's going to come up a little light. We may actually end up guarding the RPI rocks where they're leaving it. This rock is coming a little deep. It's going to launch in, set right on top of. Oh, got a little kiss. Fell over and is open with a port open on the left-hand side of the ice. So Colgate has the option of coming down and trying to get into that crowded sheet of RPI rocks. RPI is sitting 4 right now. And they are discussing coming down on the port. I don't know if they're discussing maybe trying to get a couple of the front rocks out, doing a double or a triple, or several combinations for triples available. And from Allison's Vegas gestures, I think they are discussing whether to split those rocks up. And I'd like to welcome our 4th viewer. And I have just sent a interactive test message, so we'll check and see whether we have received that on our screen. Have we received that, Mr. Brewster? We have, so I think we're live. If you have a question about going on the ice, if I had your commentary, please feel free to add your 2 cents in on the live chat line. And here is Skip Allison Spago. And I'm not quite sure what she's calling there. And nestles right in there, but nudges off on the lead rock. Leaves RPI sitting at least 1 and 2, 3 at this point. Yes, they're all right on the edge of the 4-foot circle. Jay Amador and Anthony Gazlis discussing what shot here. Call for the guard there, I hope, Jeff, or they call for a guard? Ice is a little narrow for a guard. Gazlis may be getting a little greedy here, trying to punch out that red rock. It's a very difficult shot. A lot of weight. Bittner and Dana Stevens walking rapidly, not quite jogging next to that rock. It's coming out very wide, all the way on the right-hand side of the ice. Looks like it's going to go through. Possibly going to just misses the Colgate rocks in the back. So once again, leaving Skip Allison Spago with the option of drawing in, trying to either outcount or force. Well, she'd pretty much have to outcount RPI here. There's plenty of space in the center of the house to come down to. Discussing ice and calling for a wider shot than she had before. Last shot was actually, it's an excellent line and be adjusted with sweeping, but they're putting the ice further out now. maybe hoping to get a wider section of that court to get through. High degree of difficulty on the shot for sure. So comes out, just a little narrow on where the brim was, and with plenty of weight on it. A little bit of sweeping. Going to go through the house all the way. Just a little bit too much weight. Now RPI is in a position to draw for 4. So it looks like we're going to have a high-scoring match here on sheet 3. Again, if you'd like an update on any of the other games going on the ice, please use the live chat feature on your YouTube feed. On sheet 1, we have SUNY Poly 1 versus Villanova. Sheet 2, RPI 1, Sealy versus RTI 3, Nick Agerbeck. And on sheet 4, SUNY Poly 2, Jeremy Jens against RT 2, Brennan Company. And here comes the hammer. Amber on the sweep, but Anthony Nez is following it down all the way. Looks like it's going to get through. Whether it's going to stop or not is another question. And it does almost the exact same thing that House and Sebago's rock did. Does not go out of the house in the back, but leaves RPI sitting 3, and it will be 3 yellow. As Colgate will be shooting with a hammer for the first time in this game. Score is now RPI 3, RPI Team 2, RPI Nazlis with 3, and Colgate 2, House and Sebago with 2 stones. If you're just joining us, we're here at the Schenectady Curling Club for the 2015 Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute Curling Bonspiel, College Bonspiel, featuring 12 teams, they said. We'll check on that. We have 8 out on the ice right now for the first draw of this Bonspiel. Quad screen mode here. So let's see what's going on. Throwing the red rack for Colgate 2, their lead draw beginning. Weight coming out. Heavy rock. He might have an inadvertent takeout here in a violation of free guard zone. I think that's what we're going to get. Perfect takeout shot, but something they want. And swept through, and the rock will be replaced. Skip's bringing it out. Jenny Amador has marked the position of RPI rock. Oh, probably me. Well, you want it to be, yeah, exactly. It's good practice, and we want it to be nice and clean in case somebody doesn't tune in. Are we recording too? Yeah, then it'll be good for the curlers to come take a look at later. If you haven't guessed, joining me not on headphones, but doing our direction, our production, our technical commentary. He's also going to be sweeping up later. Mr. Jeff Brister. Say hello, Jeff. That's Jeff. I am Matt Wall. Skip Alson Spago calling for the takeout. Came out narrow and a bit light. Sweepers are right on it. Trying to hold it. Looks like it's going to skitter over and stay on the rock. Good sweeping there. And a clean takeout, and it sticks just behind the 4-foot line. So doubt that rock will be there at the end of the end. RPI calling to come around, draw in. Okay. We've got what amounts to be a reasonable, kind of a narrow but reasonable corner guard. But they do not have the hammer. So Naz is apparently here to get and stay in the house. It's come out narrow, and they're going to plan B of trying to hold the rock and take out anyway. And it ends up being a perfect takeout shot, almost as if that was what had been called for. And that is sticking again just behind the tee line, to the left as you are looking at it. Or the bottom of your screen, actually, if looking at our overhead view on our feed. And the second for Colgate, Kirk Bittner. Mountains rock, straight takeout shot, falling over a little bit, and it will just miss, going straight across the button, leaving RPI in a good position to put up a guard and cover. Naz is calling for the guard right at the top of the 8. Skips are calling for a little bit less ice than they were earlier on, even as the sheets are getting a bit faster. Yeah, wait on that. That's going to end up in the house someplace. But all the way down on the button. Not quite frozen two. They might have considered sweeping that down and freeze two. To prevent the double. Come with peel weight here. Be able to easily kick both those rocks out. And that seems to be what Alison Spago's calling for. She's got control weight ice, so not full pill weight, so they will not get both of these out if they do connect. Just get the rear rock out. And it's coming wide. And just nips out the front rock. Just a tiny bit of contact, yellow to yellow. RPI with the only stone in the house right now. As is calling for the guard. Now throwing RPI 2's vice, Jenny Amador. She's on the clean side, but not a lot of weight. So the rock is going to be just the right of optimal guard line. They will get it over. Up right on the center line. Perfect center guard, but it leaves RPI's rock wide open on the left-hand side. Now it is first rock of the third end, plays Austin Chago. comes over and collides with the lead. RPI Rockets. I wish we had instant replay here at the Niski Unidome. Promoted and actually put RPI in a slightly better guard position with that front rock primed for tap in later on. Nazis, however, choosing to try to get behind that. He's calling for the draw behind the rock and not guarding on the left. Which would be great if JD Amador can get this rock in. Looks like it comes out a little wide and plenty of weight. It's a brief sweeping there by Kirk Bettner and Dana Stevens, front of the house for RPI. And it comes to rest, slightly covering shot rock. Has the second rock in the house in the 6-foot circle. Vulnerable to double and leaving the whole right-hand side for the draw, which is what Skip Allison Sebago is calling for Colgate 2. Good line, but again, a little light. And the rock is going to die at or near the hog line. Allison Sebago coming out to help sweep, but the rock is hogged, and Colgate will shoot in position to try to cover for the steal. I think we're on the first of skip rocks for RPI 2, and Nazis is calling for the draw here. JD Amador setting up with plenty of ice. If he hits the broom with the right weight, it's going to end up a little bit to the right of the button, not behind cover. Comes out narrow, which may be good news for RPI. Nazis follows the rocks down almost every time. And it's curling over and is going to just come to rest back of the tee line. Oh, and slipped out another 2 feet. So it's in the house and counts. Overshot his mark by a little bit there. So RPI is still sitting 3, but Colgate with a hammer does have easy open draw on the right-hand side. We're now on the first of the 2 skip rocks to be thrown by Allison Sebago for Colgate 2. Calling for almost the same ice. As Anthony Nazlis called for on the previous shot. Maybe an inch more. Sebago's been hitting her weight pretty well tonight. Tucking behind cover would leave Colgate in position to get 2 here with the hammer. Looks like it's coming out a little light, but it's curling over. See how far the sweepers can drag this in. And they managed to get it right behind, and they're going to end up shot. Perfect shot in the end. Good sweeping by the Colgate 2 team. They're shot by about 1.5 inches. And well buried. I think that RPI is going to have too many options here to try to take it out unless they want to try a very difficult angle takeout shot, which I would not recommend under the circumstances. Amador and Nazlis discussing it. Looks like they're going to try to draw in. Is that right, Jeff? No. Yeah. They can certainly try to force one here with leaving it top 4. can try to get in on the button. Anything that they would get on the button would probably leave them exposed for takeout, but that would also be a difficult shot for Colgate 2 to make for 2. Here it comes. We've not been timing these shots, but it does certainly feel like the ice has sped up a little bit. The curler's weight has gotten a little bit under control. Sweepers are on at about 5 feet in front of the hog line. They're going to try to drag it across. It looks like it's going to have enough. They need to get off it soon. And it nudges Colgate's rock over, and it is sitting 2, so it does leave a takeout, but the takeout would only leave Colgate sitting 1. There's almost no place for a takeout rock to slide. So it would be well advised to try to draw in on the right-hand side instead. Is that what you do, Jeff? Just hope you're not narrow. You don't want to bump the opposing team's rock in. It's one of those things. It's a sweeper's call. They can at least do damage control, but it's going to require the vice read the line very carefully, and the sweepers convey the weight. Yep. Jeff Brewster opining that, trying to get him on the headphones, ladies and germs, opining that they should probably just take their 1. They are discussing it, but I do not think they're discussing throwing the rock away. It is only the third end, and 1 would end up with a tie game. But Alison Sebago seems to be going for... I'm not sure. Do not have... Austin Chago's not... Okay, now he's back. Pulling the broom in the exact center of the button. I cannot see how even making this shot would profit them unless they can get a little bit of wicking with a very strong takeout. But they do run the risk of shooting themselves out and leaving RPI 5, or 4 rather. I think they call it takeout. And this has potential disaster all over it if, in fact, they make much strong contact. But fortunately for RPI, the rock goes through the house. I think that they should be very fortunate to take 1 there. They could have wrecked and given RPI a steal of 4. But instead it will be 1 red, so this game is tied at 3 after 3 ends. Give you some quick updates on scores from the other sheets. On sheet 1, our A game, SUNY Poly has the Yellow Rocks, and they have 3-2 Villanova Prosperities. 2-2 on sheet 1. On sheet 2, the B game, RPI 1 Chris Seeley versus RTI 3 Nick Agerbeck, and that is RPI 3. 4, SUNY Poly, Jeremy Jens versus RIT2, Brennan Kelly. Let's see, RIT is throwing, so looks like they're the Red Rocks, and it is 3-2, RIT2 over SUNY Poly 2. Also just starting the 4th end. And the first rock is way here, back on our feature sheet. RPI 2, Skip Anthony Naslis versus Colgate 2, Skip Alison Sebago. And RPI with the hammer this end. And RPI's first rock dies in, Colgate's first rock dies in kind of an odd position out right on the 6-foot, 8-foot line to the left side of the house. As is calling for not for the takeout, but for somebody to stick in the other part of the house. Could be reading tendencies of the other team by now, challenging them to come to a takeout. And the rock ends up just to the right of the center line, between the 4 foot, 8 foot. And hard to tell which one is shot. It looks at this point like Colgate is shot, but I predict here that neither one of those will be shot rock at the end of the end. It's like Allison Spego is calling for a draw behind. Kind of a deep rock to draw behind.
Sorry.
Plenty of weight on that rock from Colgate's lead, Gra McGagnon. Rock's dying a little bit. At the end, it looks like it's going to end up outside of the house. A little timid about the sweeping into that rock. Could not quite hear what Skip Allison Spego was calling for as far as the sweeping. Anthony Naslis doing a little dance in the house as he waits delivery of the rock by Dana Stevens. Rock is very wide, coming out on the right-hand side of the ice. Only been a couple of rocks thrown out there thus far, coming this direction. And end up short of the house. The sweepers were a bit late on it. I think Naslis is waiting for the rock to come over and waited a little bit too long. And how many viewers do we have now, Jeff? 2 viewers. No, I'm not watching. So, hello to our 2 viewers. Again, if you have a question or if you'd like to add your own commentary or you want an update on one of the other sheets, please feel free to use the live chat bar, which you should see on the screen someplace. Takeout rock called for, and it's going to slide right through, sweeping in the middle and then called off, so it was neither here nor there. And kind of wait. Sometimes you just kind of have to hope that it's going to slow down and curl over or possibly even take out the rocks. Another opportunity for RPI here to cover up. Rock does come right between the port, but with a little bit extra weight, it's going to get swept out of the back of the house. Good skip sweeping by Allison Spego to get that yellow rock all the way through the house. And right back where we were 2 rocks ago. Rock take out, and it's going to just nick the side of this rock. Take it out, but it will not stick. So RPI is left sitting with the only rock in the house at this point. Excuse me, Colgate sitting with the only rock in the house with RPI shooting. On the second rock of the Hammer team here, RPI of the second, Kirk Bittner, 4th rock. Draw called for. Sliding over. They may need to sweep it a little bit here, but they're holding off. Weight looks like it's tee line or behind. And it does come to rest. Allison Spago giving a little bit of sweep. It comes to rest outside the 4-foot. That is shot rock and well buried behind a Colgate guard. Allison is asking if Austin Shaker would like to come down and sit on top of the RPI rock. That's what they're calling for. Lots of ice, though. Tremendous amount of ice. Probably almost a foot more than the way the curl's been going in. There's plenty of weight on this. This is going to be somewhere other than where the shot was called for. Might actually take out that odd corner guardish rock, or it might promote it. And Allison Spago's sweeping it out so it does not stick. Effectively, essentially a guard takeout. Anthony Nazis for RPI calling to follow that yellow rock down, sit on top of it in the 4-foot. So I'm calling for the shot that Colgate was calling for, did not make. Throwing his vice, Jenny Amador. Came out a little narrow, but rock's holding on the rock now, but a little bit late on the sweep call. And it looks like it might collide with the Colgate rock at front, and it will just nip it. And the RPI rock caroms over and will be shot, but he is quite naked and open out there. And Allison Spago wasting no time calling for the takeout. Certainly positioned for a double here on the backspin after hitting that first rock. Got to make the first shot. Oh, and pulled off on the handle a little bit, and that is going to be well wide, late on the sweep call. It is not even going to make contact, don't think. And it goes right through. So Colgate with a good opportunity to be sitting 3. And now RPI with the hammer, calling for an 8-foot guard. Vice, Jenny Amador throwing her second rock. Now we've got very narrow ice being called. Anthony Nazlis has a little dance that he does as he's holding the broom in the house. I'm wondering if that's a signature move or a nervous tick. It's very distinctive. Looks like the line's good here, but it is going to be quite deep. And they may actually touch their own rock, come to sit in the 4-foot. And that's exactly what happens. Leaving them open for a double and possibly a triple, if they get caroms correct here. Austin Spago waiting for her vice to come down the ice. They are discussing it. Interesting. I personally don't see a lot of controversy here about where to hit the rock. Jeff, do you have anything to add? No, I should easily be able to get 2 out. This discussion about weight and ice. They're going to come down the right-hand side of the ice with quite a bit of ice. So interesting to see if she makes a shot, whether she's going to be able to get enough weight to clear both rocks. I kind of doubt it. I think they're going to end up leaving at least one RPI rock in the 4-foot if she does make this shot. And here's the delivery. Plenty of weight. Little narrow. And it looks like it may skid her by both rocks. Sweeper's being called off. And it is not hooking over. It's going to go right through. And just nicks the back of the RPI rock and just buries it behind the other rock. RPI now in a position to guard and try to get 3 or possibly 4, depending on where they leave this rock. Skip Anthony is quickly calling for a low 8-foot guard. He's not been hitting his draw weights very consistently tonight, but certainly a shot he is capable of making. Again, very narrow ice on this call. Diameter setting up right at the edge of the 4-foot. So that would assume a curl of just over 2 feet. It has us wiggling the rock a little bit as he comes out, but it straightens out. The release is clean. It looks like it's coming out wide. It's going to have to slow down and curl over to be put in the guard position. Amateur calling for the sweep. She sees the line well. Calling it over. It looks like it's going to end up on the center line if they can lay off. And you see whether they overswept it a little bit, but it does end up just to the left-hand side of the center line as you're looking down the ice. And a good guard. It's going to be a difficult shot for takeout by Colgate. And RPI is sitting 3. Colgate 2 skip Allison Sebago discussing with Vice Austin Chago. Chago. Chago, and we're corrected from the audience. Thank you very much. Oh, Subago. Thank you very much. Subaldo. All right. I would like everybody to go back and forget that I said Subago once. Subaldo. Also Subaldo. Oh. Rom again. Okay. I'm just giving you. That's not a mispronunciation. Bad data. All right. Just to let you know, the lead for Colgate 2 is Emily Schweitzer, not Grace McGannon, who's throwing on another rink. Posterity will be very unkind to me. And Allison Subaldo has thrown through the house again. And all RPI has to do is draw for 4. Pretty much, if they get it entirely inside white, they will be sitting 4, so they can come wide. But once again, calling for very narrow ice. I'm quite sure they have taken a look at where they need to end up. We have a very large port on the right-hand side of the ice as you're looking down. That's the top of the ice if you're looking at it on our live stream. And I apologize to the Subaldo family if you're watching. And here comes the hammer from RPI 2. And it is actually coming out wide, but that's actually good for RPI. If they sweep now, they won't be able to get it in. It's a question of weight here. They'll almost certainly be able to get it by that lead rock. And it drops in there, and RPI will sit 4. So after 4 ends, RPI 2 will have 7 to Colgate 2's 3. Take a quick look around at the other sheets. On sheet 1, the A game. Posted the score for the 4th end yet. Sheet B, RPI 1 with the Red Rocks. We've also not posted the score for the 4th end yet. And on sheet 4, SUNY Poly 2 versus RET 2. They are still in the 4th end. After 3, it is RET 3, SUNY Poly 2. And we'd like to welcome our 5th viewer. If you're just joining us, we are broadcasting to you live from beautiful downtown Niskayuna for the 2015 edition of the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute Curling Club College Bonspiel. Here on sheet 3, our feature sheet. The matchup is throwing the Red Rocks, Colgate 2, skipped by Allison Subaldo. And with the Yellow Rocks, RPI 2, skipped by Anthony Nazis. Score is currently RPI 7 and Colgate 3, as we're just getting underway with lead rocks for the 5th end. Joining me here at the Schenectady Dome, Mr. Jeff Brewster on technical direction. I'm Matt Wall, your friendly neighborhood bat commentator. That's BAT, not BAD. You guys going to get a promote here, probably not make it into the house, but it does, just square on. Ends up being a perfect shot, as if they had planned it that way. Tap up, perfect guard. Shot rock just off the center line, touching the 4-foot. Skip Allison Saballo calling for the draw behind. She's called a very steady draw-based game. Really has confidence in her team to be able to make those draws. And lead shot from Emily Schweitzer, not the other person I was saying. Comes out a little bit narrow. Sweepers are on the rock. It will probably not make it to the house. It does make it to the house. Will make it to the house. Drawing in. They really swept hard. It was a nice job of sweeping. And it comes up sitting second shot, possibly, but just a little bit deep. Beautiful shot. Considering, depending on how the end develops, that could be an interesting rock. Naz is calling for his second to come down to it. Drew back. They're throwing left-handed. He's got the intern for this rock. If you are not familiar with Schenectady and Albany Curling Clubs, and you're watching the signaling done by RPI, skips here. RPI follows the Schenectady Albany tradition of calling what other clubs might consider to be backward signals, or the in-turn, the out-turn, and vice versa if you're from the mainstream of curling. We at Schenectady like to think that we are simply thinking with our left brains the right way. missed the shot. Now shooting Kirk Bittner. Excuse me. Drew Beckler is shooting now. Drew Bittner missed the shot. Kirk Bittner, Drew Beckler. Beg your pardon. Having difficulty reading my own handwriting here. Shot came out heavy, and we're right back to where we were. Kirk Bittner getting a second chance at making the shot. As is calling for the drawdown. Any kind of nudge would leave RPI sitting 2 and guarded. So this could end up being a critical shot in this end. Colgate has a hammer in this end. It's right on it. Rock is diving. Looks like it may collide with RPI's lead rock and kicks them out and out of shot. Possibly tied or very close to where the Colgate rock is. Measurement right on the floor. Tactically, that puts second rock in the house for RPI, possibly sitting shot. Close enough that Allison Sabaldo can't ignore that rock if it comes down to it. She's calling for the draw again. We're having a race to draw down on the right-hand side. She's calling for quite a bit more ice, about 3 or 4 more inches more for Drew Beckler. Comes out closer to hitting the rim this time, but still with plenty of weight. Sweeper's watching come down. The rock is diving over, and it's just going to miss by about 4 or 5 inches into the house. As they're calling for the rock to be behind the button, or on the button, but behind the tee line. If he's actually calling for that rock to come down to the red Colgate rock. Vice Jenny Amador with her first rock, and it's away. As we're almost immediately calling for swooping for line. The rock is diving over. It's a little light. It's going to collide with the guard rock out front. Push that over. Places the rock a little bit to the right of the center line, making draws down the right a little bit more difficult. Acts essentially as a corner guard on the left-hand side, although there's a bit of that RPI yellow rock on the forefoot showing, although not enough for an easy takeout. If RPI is shot, indeed, they're in very good shape right here. And Allison Sabaldo again calling for the draw in. Plenty of cover there if they can get it. And she's taking just a little bit more ice. She did last time. Going for a wider draw. And unfortunately, Ostrachenko pulls back on that rock. It's going to come narrow from what's called, but it may yet get by. Looks like it's going to collide with the yellow guard out front. And it does. Kicks the guard over, ends up almost directly opposite the low guard that Colgate, that RPI left out. Interesting choice of shots here. Could try to go for a raise here, which is what Nasler's calling for. So the idea here is they're going to come around their own center guard, dive by the red Colgate rock to the top of your screen, come in and try to nudge their yellow up into the forefoot. Jenny Amador's rock is away. Mine looks decent. It's got to curl over. It is not curling a whole lot. It's actually got to kick out the Colgate guard and can slide across, but none of the sweepers are following it down. Probably could have buried that a little bit more in the white, deeper towards T-line if they'd swept that. It's still unclear who's shot here. We've got 2 rocks behind the tee, just touching the 4-foot line. Red is Colgate 2 and yellow is RPI. Once again, RPI leaving a lot of rocks in the house. Spell now calling for the hit and roll here, Jeff? It's a very narrow port to get through here. And the handle is strange. It's like a hit and roll on the outside rock. They're going to have to sweep it through. If it's coming through, will it roll over all the way is the question. And it does. Straight through with a beautiful shot. No sweeping at all. Colgate sitting at least 1, possibly 2. It's a cross-ice shot with opposite handle. Beautiful, beautifully done. Very nice call by Allison Smaldo. Naz is now left with an open right-hand side to try to draw in. Also with cover, so yeah, he is not out of the woods here. Everything is behind the tee except for that 6-foot guard RPI 2 has out. Sweeper's on this rock. Naz is following it down. It's diving over. It's a very good draw, but it looks like it has a little bit too much oomph on it. It is just going to just nudge that out, so not a useless rock. It definitely takes away a possible second counter rock for RPI. We'll leave him in a difficult position to try to draw for 2 at best. Now we're coming up on first skip rocks for Allison Sbaldo. She's got some options here. She can do a takeout, try to sit. She's sitting 2 there. Take out that rock in the back. Probably her best shot if she comes around on the left-hand side of the ice, which would be the bottom on your screen. She'll have some difficulty with angles, both for making the draw and for doing a takeout. There's an effective corner guard. Best shot is probably top 4 here, yes. Jeff Prister's adding it. Is that what you called for?
That's right.
Yep. Top 4 leave her option of being covered and really not leaving a lot of options for RPI. So it's coming out a little bit wide. It's not going to be able to sit 4 unless it comes all the way down. And it does come down and touch the back rock. And they are sitting 2. So there's backing there for any kind of overshot here if RPI decides to draw in, just like what they're calling for here. Does mean that if RPI doesn't make the shot here, Allison Sbaldo could be shooting for 3, and that would put Colgate 2 right back in this game. We're in the 5th end. The score is RPI 7, Colgate 3. So the number 2 teams for both schools. If you're unfamiliar with the geography of New York, Colgate is in beautiful Hamilton. Hamilton College is not in Hamilton, however. Hamilton is in Clinton, and Clinton College is in another part of the state altogether, not in Clinton County. Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute is in Rensselaer County, but Troy College is in Michigan. It's a good draw line, but very, very light, and the sweepers cannot drag it across. what they're going to do is effectively let a guard to make the draw for 3 very difficult for Alson Sabala. But Colgate 2 looking at at least 2 at this point in this end. There is a line on the left to come around, and all they have to do is be touching green effectively. But it does not appear Allison has looked at that shot on the left-hand side. He's going for what looks to me like a more difficult draw on the right, because that last rock ended up being a guard about 2 feet or more to the right of the center line, and the lower guard, easier to get around on the left-hand side or the bottom of your screen, is probably only about 2/3 the distance over from the center line. And Allison did read the line on that very well when she called Austin Chaga's shot. But she's going for the top of your screen there for the wide right, and come out very wide on throw, and it looks like it's going to die out there. The sweeper's a little late on it. It's just going to slide across. Jeff Brewster informs me the handle reversed as well. So it's going to be 2 red for Colgate 2. Respectable ends. Some nice shots there, including a great hit and roll by Austin Chago, the vice for Colgate 2. And score is going to be RPI 2-7, Colgate 2-5 after 5 ends. So it looks like we're going to have... 4 to SUNY Poly 1-3 after 5 ends. They're throwing their 6th ends. On sheet 2, the B game, RPI 1, led by Chris Seeley, has 7. And they're shooting the 6th end, 7 after 5 to just 1 for RTI 3. So RPI 1 well in control of that game. And on sheet 4, the D game, SUNY Poly 2 throwing the yellow rocks, 2 to RIT 2's 4. They are still finishing up the 5th end on that. It looks like SUNY Poly is throwing for... Actually, RIT is sitting shot in that game. So they're throwing a hammer to try to salvage something over here. They're trying for 1. Get back here on our feature sheet. This C game, sheet 3. RPI will have a hammer. And the first rock by lead Dana Stevens. Good line. Looks like it's going to end up in the house, but close to center line. Sliding a bit, coming over, and Allison Sabala is going to get a chance to sweep that a few inches, sitting in the 4-foot, but behind the tee line. Sabala immediately calls for the takeout, adjusting her ice. Lead Emily Schweitzer, her real name. Throwing the takeout, comes out almost across the rock, and the sweepers are on it for length. They're going to have to go to plan C here. Well, that's the handle that she came out with, but just missed her line altogether, and it slides through on the outside. If they had not swept that, that would have actually ended up in the house. Probably in front of the tee line. Rock is in play, but in the dead zone behind the tee line and not counting out of the house. And with no chance to provide backing over there, so just a rock to trip over. RPI's lead, Dana Stevens throwing her 2nd rock. It's a little bit further out. It's going to slide over. What's that, Jeff? Yep, there have been a lot of stones in play in this game. Yep, we've had one free guard violation and not a lot of guards out front. Both teams have been following Lord Nelson and Dorson's advice and just having at it. We've had a couple of draw contests in different ends. Teams trying to follow the same line down so you can hit the draw. Takeouts have been a little erratic. Had one fantastic hit and roll shot thrown to the outside by Colgate's Austin Chago. We have the first rock thrown by Drew Backler, the second for Colgate 2. He's been pretty heavy all night, and this rock is no exception. Looks like he's going to catch a piece of the RPI rock, but just sort of spin it over to actually a better position. So does, however, take a little inertia out of the rock, momentum. Jeff Brewster to my right, as you're listening, suggests that the Utica ice on which Colgate plays might be a bit more swingy. If you're not familiar with that term, it means there's going to be more curl and perhaps a little more erratic around the edges. Ice has been pretty consistent tonight, I would say, Jeff, would you? And it looks like it's been playing the same on all four sheets, which is always a good sign. We had some newer ice makers preparing the ice tonight. They did a fantastic job. Oh, and an odd pick on this rock that caused it to swing out. I have rarely seen a rock do that here at Schenectady. I'd like to get that on instant replay if you'd be so kind there, Jeff. Would have been a decent, probably about a foot further over had it not picked. I hope that they found what was on the ice and got rid of it. That was not there earlier, because I've seen rocks come down. We've seen the rocks come down on that line and not hit anything. So, piece of debris. We've had excellent ice here at Schenectady this year. It's been clean. Our master ice maker, Jim Ridnour, doing a fantastic job with his ice crew. Sweeper's staying off, and it looks like it's going to dive over. And questioning here up in the broadcast booth, the non-sweep call on that. That one's on Allison Cibaldo. She could see the line coming down all the way. That would have very likely been a clean takeout with a stick, given that weight. And once again, RPI, as they have been in the last several ends, in a position of having a lot of rocks in the house in the middle of the end. They've got 3 and are sitting 3. And Colgate just has 1 behind the tee, sitting on the straddling the 8-foot line, giving RPI plenty of options for covering. Although Nazlis, once again, is coming straight into the house. Rock sliding over the face a little bit. It's going to end up to the right-hand side of the ice, which is going to be to the top as you are looking at it on your screen. And we'll end up just pretty decent cover for the rock behind it, but if Allison Cibaldo wants to clear those rocks out, there's an easy double sitting there. She'll be able to stick and sit 2 at the worst with getting some rocks out, but he has not been playing the takeout game. Playing for the draw behind again. It is only a 2-point margin, so lots of different strategic options will work here. And the Supers again a little late on the sweep here, maybe about 5 or 10 feet late. The rock is going to die. It had the line, but it has missed the curl and is not going to make it all the way in. It's going to end up sitting right on the edge of the 8-foot. It'll be, so RPI has counting 4 right now with the hammer. And Nazlis once again not calling for any guards out front, but coming straight into the house. He's playing for a big end here. There's lots of takeout possibilities still, but Sabalo has not been calling many takeout shots, especially during vice rocks. This rock came out light from Jenny Amador. Sweepers were on it, but it's not dragging across. It's diving over. It's going to end up on the center line someplace. It's actually good placement for a guard if they called the guard. Maybe actually overswept a little bit. I would have left it out a little, wouldn't you, Jeff? Yeah. I would have left a little further out and over across the center line to guard, make that draw down to the center that much more difficult for Sabaldo. Talking to her vice, Austin Chago, down the length of the ice. Calling for the draw in again. Setting up the ice again. Probably the equivalent of about 5 foot ice if she's trying to get it behind. RPI is really setting up a little perimeter right now. That rock is coming in very hot. It's going to slide through in the back and not make contact with anything. And let's see if Nazlis decides to guard up. He's sitting 4. And he's calling for a very low guard. He's, I'd say, very point greedy here. If I could put it to you like that. Yeah. Jeff Brewster saying it's not such a bad thing to sit it in the 8. I might leave it out a little bit further in the 8 foot though. Yeah. Full 12 is good. It's a hot rock and it is going to end up back the tee line. And will it count? It is going to count. That is the 5th rock. The RPI right now sitting 5. And Allison Sabalo is going to have to look at the scoreboard and try to decide what she wants to do here. It's a little bit too late to kick out RPI rocks. It's going to be probably forced to fall in and draw in again. She is looking at the hit and roll. Hit and roll, if she hits it right, would give her a good angle, though she might scoot through the 2 RPI rocks that are kind of straddling the 4-foot circle. For the hit and roll with that shot worked when Austin Chago threw it last end. So. And the line looks good. It's got to curl over a little bit more. And the sweeper should be on it. At some point, no. Held's out there. Could not call. I was wrong. But it does, as I suspected, scoot through 2 rocks. And it does a kizzle-cazzle at the end. Comes back a little bit. But RPI is at least sitting 4 here. I think it's just 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, right there. Yeah, I got that in the back. So, Anthony Nazlis with the hammer. Throwing his first skip rock. And Jeff, are they again ignoring the guard there? They're going to try to come in? Narrow ice, but he comes out a little wide. See where this ends up with the weight. Handle a little indeterminate. And sweepers are on it. Diving across might get a chip. Yeah, ends up being actually a pretty good guard. Again, they might have been the plan B, but the RPI definitely in a great spot right here. Alison Cibaldo has the option of coming down the center and trying to knock one out, but it'd still leave RPI sitting 3. She'd have a very difficult time doing a draw. She might try to wick off one of her rocks. That's a high degree of difficulty for this shot. Any thoughts, Jeff? Yeah, there is a concept to do defensive game here. Coming down with is the top of your screen on the right-hand side of the ice. Yep. With only 2 ends left after this end, giving up certainly more than 2 would be quite difficult to overcome. Calls a draw. Trying to get through the port in the center. It's got to get by the yellow guard. And whoop, I'm blocked. And it will get by. How deep will it go? It ends up being optimal shot. They waited a little bit too long to sweep, and they are not going to be shot. You're going to be sitting 4th. So let's see how Nazlis plays this. He's sitting 3 right now with 1 rock to go. Just a little late on the sweep call. It's a very good shot by Cibaldo, but didn't quite optimize the finishing sweeping. So Nazlis has to be careful not to get too cute here and possibly wreck one of his shots. He's looking at a tap up there, but I think he's calling for the draw, and all he has to do is touch, basically, yeah. So nothing more than 8-foot weight here, yeah? Exactly. I think we'd be shooting for front 8 optimally here. Just a little bit of sweeping would drag it in, so they'd count 4, excuse me. And the release needs to be swept a little. And it's coming over. I think that they were late. I think they're going to end up colliding in the front. Yeah, a little late on the sweep call, and it just touches off the guard. They will end up with 3. So RPI 3. So after 6 ends. What was a close game a moment ago is now RPI 10 and Colgate 5. So we'll see if Nazlis can switch up and play tactical takeout. It's over on sheet 1 with the yellow rocks. RTI 3 has tied it after 6 and 4. With, that is SUNY Poly 1 is tied up with Villanova. On sheet 2, our B game, RPI 1. We've only got the score posted through 5. Oh, they have shaken hands, so that game is over, presumably with an RPI 1 victory. 9-1 final, I'm told. Thank you very much. 9-1 after 6. And on sheet 4, SUNY Poly is shooting the hammer in the 6th end. And it is RIT 5, SUNY Poly 2. And RIT 2 is sitting very well covered shot rock for 1. And on sheet 4, the rocks on through, so that'll be 1 red for IT2, making it 6-2 over on sheet 4. We've got lead rocks underway. Back over here on our feature sheet. The score after 6 ends is RPI 2, 10, Colgate 2-5. And first lead rock, a little bit of cover right on top of 4 foot. Gaz is calling for the takeout now. All he has to do is just keep knocking red rocks out. This is going to be a sweeper's rock. It's got the sweepers on it. Diving over quite a bit. They were on a little late. Late sweeping calls have been hallmark of this game. Instead we get a collision and a promotion of RPI's yellow rock out into 12-foot territory. Alison Sabaldo going for the high point strategy that she has to at this point, calling for probably a push out, I think. Jeff Brewster suggesting they may be on the last end from the clock and was not paying attention to the clock earlier. This comes out very wide. It's going to go out of bounds. You're trying, yeah. I like sweepers. You never give up. Naz is calling for the takeout again. His second, Kirk Bittner. Throwing his first rock in this 7th end. Rock shoots out wide, but it's got quite a bit of come back over again, and that's going to go through and miss. Yep. Jeff Brewster suggesting nice weight on the mark, but too much ice called for. Alison Sabaldo calling for a 12-foot guard right in the center. They've got to stuff that middle and then worry about the outside rock later. 5 is not insurmountable with 2 ends to play. They do have the hammer this end, and if they can get 3, stealing 2 is not unheard of had it happened in this game. Stealing 3 would be a little bit more of a tall order. First order of business is to get rocks in the house right now. That's going to be deep, a little heavy and wide, and skim by. It will probably stick in the back. Naz is again calling for take out of that center rock, which is half of it's visible, almost all of it actually. Calling for considerably less ice this time, but Bittner has a little bit of a spill as it comes out. The rock is not unsalvageable. It looks like it's going straight down the center line. But it comes over and curls and just ends up taking out the RPI rock, but Colgate's sitting shot with RPI sitting second behind the tee line. So an interesting call for Alison Sabaldo. She's calling to sit on the rock, and for high scoring, she's really got to kick that out. So they'd sit 3. force RPI to make its shots. Switching the ice is probably a wise call, but still a lot of ice. Over really 4.5 feet of ice she's calling for here. Backler again pulling the rock over, compensating for coming out narrow, and it's still narrow. And kind of come over and collide, probably take out and ends up effectively leaving themselves with a guard on the center line, the back of the 4-foot, but with RPI sitting 2 and 3. It's not where you want to be if you want to score 3 with a hammer. The RPI rocks are fairly well split apart too, so we're drawing in. Jenny Amador delivering the rock. Comes out narrow, sweepers are right on it. Now it's just confident sweeping right away. Looks like it's, if they always sweep it, it's going to actually promote the Colgate rock. And it's going to slide by just barely and end up being third rock. And splitting the house wide, it's going to be all in the middle here if Colgate is going to rack up more than 2 points here. Unusual configuration here. Both teams have been deep with a lot of rocks behind the tee line this game. Very little in the way of guards up front. Did I lose its handle, or did I miss a shot and she called the opposite handle? Wrong handle? Something definitely happened with that rock with the handle. Definitely had the opposite handle for the draw in. I don't know if they were trying to repeat the magic they had with the out-turn takeout of the 5th end, but that one went wide and is not doing a whole lot helpful out there. Amador again coming out. As is calling for the draw. A little narrow, but the sweepers are right on it. And that rock is going to go down and hit a red rock somewhere. And it does back it out, so RPI is now sitting shot. Possibly second rock as well. Center of the ice is wide open still, but we're now getting down to the number of rocks where looks like Colgate might be able to max out at 2 points this end. Going for the draw. She kind of going to come down 2 here. Can't quite tell from what I'm hearing. A lot of weight. Santiago sliding off to the right-hand side of his line. That is also going to hit a yellow rock somewhere. It's just a question of where. And it ends up just skipping by a shot. It is probably second rock right now. Definitely in measurement space. Does leave open, depending on what RPI does here, possible takeout for 3. Again, it would be a measurement. Top 4 center line, Jeff Brewster saying would be the shot to go for here by Nazlis. Just seal off possibility of RPI having a big end. I think this is a takeout call, though. Yeah. Nothing wrong with taking out rocks when you have a big lead. That's a draw call. It's a draw weight. That's an excellent shot. It is. The sweeper should have brought it in a little bit further, but it's still sealing off a lot of possibilities for Colgate. So good strategic shot by Anthony Nazlis for RPI 2. Now down to first skip rocks for. Excuse me. Yes, first skip rocks here for Colgate 2. Sabaldo and Chago talking it out down the house. Allison Sabaldo slides out. A little bit of a difficulty on pulling on that rock. She missed something there. Rock is coming out well wide. And it's going to go through very wide. Might actually. Yep. Let's see the back of the house. So just a difficult delivery for Allison there. And Nazlis now looking at drawing to the button or behind it, coming on the other side of the ice. The advantage here is that if he leaves it high and light, it will guard up against drawing in. I make that as possibly one yellow, Jeff. It's like one yellow will be one for RPI right now, so if they steal one, that will pretty much be the end of the game. Yeah, RPI shooting at count 2 here. That is quite wide. Is that moving across? Oh, but very light. Now ends up really diving about 5 feet across. I didn't see the handle on that, Jeff. Yeah. Jeff Brewster pointing out is a somewhat alien part of the ice tonight out where Anthony Nazlis is throwing it. And probably picked up some frost and decided to scoot across to where things were warmer and friendlier for that rock. So Allison Sabaldo is drawing for either 1 or 2 here. If she comes across, really don't see how she gets more than 2 here, even if she's got to just draw in for 1 here. Make sure she gets at least 1 out of this end. Have some chance in the next end. The rock has plenty on it, and it is going to come down and probably be shot rock. So that's probably going to be 1 red. I don't know if they're going to measure. A lot of people in the house. There should only be the Vices in the house at this point. I understand everybody's interests. Well, they're not measuring, so I guess one red. We'll see what the score is posted. And it is one red. So we go into the 8th end. Are we playing the clock here? Are they going to go? Okay. And we are going to be playing the 8th end here. Game is over on sheet 4. Don't have an exact final score there, but RAT2 has won. And on sheet 1, we're in the 8th end. Very tight game on sheet 1 between SUNY Poly with 4 and Villanova with 5, and SUNY Poly has a hammer. And back here on our feature sheet, Emily Schweitzer, the lead for Colgate 2, throwing the first rock of the 8th end. Big deficit right now, 4 rock deficit. Colgate will have to steal 4 to tie, steal 5 to win. They need to get rocks in the house. First shot is perfect centerline guard, almost perfect centerline guard in the middle. Anthony Naz is calling for a draw behind that. It's a danger of leaving too many rocks out there. Your rocks can become your enemy if you leave them in the wrong place. There won't leave too many opportunities for the other team to use your rocks. This rock is going to not end up getting covered. It'll end up being a spot to be open for a hit and roll, or just a hit and stick. Just a hit and stick here. And that's what Alison Sabaldo calls for. And again, Backlook throws across his body on this release, and rock is coming all the way on the other side, probably with too much weight to stick. Anthony Naz is going to watch it because he has a better angle on it, because it does slide out and it gets over the back line. Second lead rock. RPI again with the hammer in this end, so that rock did not go where it was called for, but they're sweeping on the outside. It's just gonna get across the hog line. They might have been better off just letting that hog. One thing I've learned as a relatively junior skip is when you're ahead, rocks in play are your enemy. Yours and the others. The only good rock is one out of play. Running in for the takeout shot. Sweeper's on it, trying to bring it across. Looks like it's going to make contact and probably scoot out and be sitting in pretty good shape. It's basically hit and stick. Open takeout available now for Kirk Bittner. Second of RPI 2. And Nazlis is calling for a draw. Nazlis making, I think, a little mistake here, not just taking out RPI rocks. RPI is going to be out of rocks in 3 throws if they can just trade takeouts. Excuse me, Colgate be out of rocks. That was 7-2?
7-2, all right.
That was after 7? Or was it 8? 7. Final from sheet 4, RIT 2, 7. SUNY Poly 2, 7 ends. Yep. And they've had a wreck over here on our feature sheet, which is promoted Colgate and is letting them sitting 2, and they need 4 to tie. That's what Colgate needed. If they can keep stuffing rocks into the top of the house, it will be possible for them to make this up. Coming narrow though, and looks like they may collide with the RPI rock. Promote it. Angle's just off, so it ends up being a takeout. Takes out a useful guard for them though. Opens up a variety of takeouts. And Naz is finally calling for the takeout on shot. Now, selection of ice here, Jeff. I might have called for the opposite ice, the opposite turn there. That way if it misses, they at least takes out the front rock. I think I'm going to have to admit. We're looking over at sheet 1 where yellow just got swept out and red has scored 1. So the final over on sheet 1 is going to be 6-4 Villanova over SUNY Poly 1. Well, that went down not only to the last rock, but to excellent skip sweeping by Skip John Prosperi. I think that was Skip John Prosperi for Villanova. And back here on our feature sheet, we've had a successful takeout. Colgate 2 is sitting shot, but RPI has the hammer and Colgate needs to steal 4. And late on the rock, does not get it across. And I guess we're fortunate here that on our feature sheet, it's the last game going, so we have extra entertainment for our viewers at home and abroad. Jenny Amador delivering the rock. It's going to hit a red rock of some sort, which is only good news for RPI. It's going to take out that guard. Shoots it out the back. Excellent shot by Jenny Amador. And Allison Cibaldo left with a diminishing number of rocks. She's only got really one option, which is to come into the house. She can do a hit and roll, try to hit and stick, come down to a rock. Shooting rock has got to be in the house at this point. It's going to take a series of misses by RPI for Colgate to be able to steal 4. So again, calling for the opposite ice hit and roll that Austin Chaco hit in the 5th end, and looks like this one It's got a chance, but it does not have a lot of weight on it, and will probably not, and does not kick RPI all the way out. Colgate sitting 2, but all RPI has to do now is take out 1, and the game's over. Jenny Amador with second rock. Second vice rock. Wiggles the rock a little bit coming out of the house, but clean delivery. Sweepers are on it. It's going to hit a red rock. Which one and how hard? And hits them both. Kicks one out, and that's going to be the game. We'll see whether they shake. In order for Colgate to win, they got to drag a rock that's about 6 feet out of the house in. Which I don't think it's physically possible to do that without getting RPI to actually try to promote them. I guess you throw it in the house and you hope that RPI wrecks horribly. Discussing it down, and Vices and the skips, I think they're just going to play down, get rid of the rocks. Game's effectively over here with an RPI win, but they're going to play it out for love of the sport. Asta and Chago tracing a possible route for a rock that would seem to require telekinesis. I think it's going to be just a hit and stick. No, I really think that the best option with that red rock out front is to hope that RPI does not throw the rock away and accidentally promotes it. And this is straight takeout. And it looks like a good rock. It's going to be a little bit over on the right-hand side, the face of the rock. They should have swept it a little bit earlier, but it will stick and leave Colgate sitting 2 with 1 rock to play. And with RPI with the hammer. So in Anthony Nazar's shoes here, I would just throw at something and throw hard. Yeah, Jeff Brewster suggests they pick what you're going to practice and throw it. And as you can hear, the background noise will ratchet up a little bit here at the Curling Dome of Niskayuna, New York. You can surmise that this is the last sheet in play right now. The other colors are all in off the ice. Gianni Amador yucking it up with Austin Chago and Allison Cibaldo. Having a good time out there. And Anthony Nazar just opting to practice his draw. He's got good weight on it. Going to be a little bit back of the tee line. And Austin Chago practicing his sweeping. And sweeping it out. So now Allison Cibaldo gets to decide if she wants to try to get the physically possible miracle shot or draw for 3. Forced Anthony Nazar to throw the last rock away. The only possible split here, I think, Jeff, would be to hit it on the right-hand side of the ice and hope to flick the rock through a very tiny port that's there and then leave the shot rock sitting out in 12-foot ice, but counting shot against the RPI rock on the far side, the opposite side of the ice. It would be the greatest curling shot ever, but that's not the call. Calls for a draw. Me, I would try the greatest curling shot ever. Jeff Brewster, I don't know what to say. And how many viewers are we down to now, Jeff? 4. I'm sorry that we chased away that 5th viewer. And Rock steps well short, and they are shaking. There we go. Well, the final score here after since they're conceding for the end is going to be after 7. RPI 2, 10. Colgate 2, 7. And that ends our first draw coverage for the 2015 RPI College Bonspiel. Jeff Brewster eagerly trying to hit the end broadcasting button. But I'd just like to thank you on behalf